Good evening, NorCal Carters. It is Monday, May 18th, and once again, Gary Carlton joins us tonight, and we're going to go over his European adventures. How are you doing, Gary?
Doing well. Enjoying the rain, to be honest.
It was kind of refreshing. Did it snow or hail at your place? Still there?
Yeah, sorry. I got a phone call and I tried to end and accept it, and then actually went the wrong one.
It's all right. All right. So you were saying you had a little bit of rain and it was kind of nice.
Well, yeah, it actually poured down rain here for, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes. Kind of reminded me when I was living in Florida. So, yeah, I don't like it when it's really hot, and obviously where we're based out of Marysville during the summer, you get those like 2-3 months where it's 95 and up, for days straight. So, yeah, I enjoy it actually.
Yeah, it was nice. We had, we're down in Galtz is where I'm sitting, and we actually had a hail. And some people were posting from Wilton where SweetTech is, where the hail covered their patios or their roofs. It came down pretty hard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get any hail, but it was like, like thunderstorm, a little bit of lightning and whatnot. Yeah. It was cool to see. You don't see that very often here in California.
Yeah, it's a neat little break. Especially in May. It's
yeah,
May 18th.
exactly. So, yeah, where do you want to start? Do we want to start with, you said you had some questions, and
yeah, we had a couple questions, and then let's give everyone a real quick recap. This is the third week you've come on. Last week we just jumped in and dove into your experience with Track Magic, and primarily your early days with Track Magic. We parlayed a little bit into the current Track Magic program that you're running for those guys, and then episode 1, the early years from quarter midgets, working at shops like Emic and Cosmic, or JM and NorCal rather, SweetTech. And actually, I was recapping in my head, or past conversations, you actually worked with Vince Paleo at Emic if you worked down there at the summer.
Yeah, Vince has seen me since, I was 9 years old till now. And I don't know if that makes him feel old or or not. But I've been around Vince and Buck worked at SweetTech also for a little bit, and he was working down there at SweetTech at Emic when I was working there. So, karting world is definitely small. We all know that, and
yeah,
I think if you're in the industry long enough, you're gonna see the same people,
So is
or maybe
is
work
Vince
with the same
the one
people
that
in
actually
different.
put the Francis in GFC?
No, that was all Joey Hand. All Joey Hand.
That was Joey
Well,
Hand.
it could have been Vince. Yeah, it could have been Vince. It was that whole Emic clan. That really they were doing all that. I think kind of with everybody. Like everyone had the F in the middle, and that was just how they nicknamed everybody. And I don't know why mine stuck more than others, to be honest. But yeah, that was a whole Emic thing. But I always thought it was Joey that started it all about. I wouldn't be surprised if Vince had a key role into that also.
I just had this thought. If we took Joey Hand, Gary Carlton, AJ Allmendinger, Scott Speed, and I know I'm missing a couple of them, you guys could run Masters, and that would be a badass class.
Yeah. I mean, I think we probably all end up wanting to just do senior, and besides masters. But yeah, I mean, it would be
That'd be a
fun.
headline event.
I put my money. Yeah, I put my money on Scott. I put my
Do you
money on
think his dad
Scott.
would work
If he was
for
a
him?
tech, no, I don't think his dad would want to put himself through that torture. He did. If it was a tag kart, it's probably Scott will win. If it was a shifter kart, I'd still put my money on myself, not for the speed, but just the fitness level probably. Even though Scott's probably much more fit than I am, cardio wise and everything else. I think I step in a go kart once every couple months, and it's probably enough. It's more than doing nothing. Who knows the last time Scott's driven a shifter kart, or any of those guys driven a shifter kart, regardless. So I'd probably win it. I'd probably win on the endurance side.
So you're giving yourself the edge just because you're in the cart all the time.
Well, all the time, no. I mean, I'm lucky to be in a go kart where I'm actually going out and testing something. I mean, it's kind of rare that I personally go out just by myself and do a whole day to myself. I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll jump in carts to do a lead follow or jump in a customer's cart for 10 laps to shake it down. But to actually go out and drive and worry about myself and worry about my driving or test something, I mean, it only happens when I have something new that I necessarily don't trust one of my customers, and not trusting that they're going to leak out information, but I want to know for myself what it feels like and what it does, with being the experience that I have. And I guess it'd be a great way to parlay in all the experience that I gained while driving over in Europe and working for factories. I personally want to know, being that my name's on the go-kart now, what it's doing and if it's the right way or not. Because if it ends up not being the right way, I want it to be my fault and not somebody else's.
Yeah, I could appreciate that assessment.
So, but definitely don't get out and drive. I know every time that I go out and drive, I feel slower. I feel like I'm not as precise. I feel, I don't feel like I used to be. That's for sure. And it's one of those things, after you retire, or you officially retire and you don't drive all the time, maybe 2 months, 3 months after you decide to stop driving, all the time, you'll be okay. It maybe take you a few days to come back, but it's when you do 3-4 months at a time for 2-3 years in a row, you feel yourself getting slower and slower, and the feeling's still there. The feeling, when I make chassis changes or build up new prototypes and want to try them, the feeling's always there. It's just the precision and the speed and everything, and being able to do it every lap the same every time definitely goes away. And so what I find myself doing is not, trying to go 100%, all the time, and maybe back it down to 95% where I can be consistent and maybe be that 2/10 off that I know I could maybe, or what I used to be able to do, but the feeling and everything is the same. And as long as you drive consistently, the testing is accurate.
Yeah, and you bring up a really interesting point, and we hinted at this either last week or the podcast before. And again, for those of you just joining us, this is the third week in a row we've had Gary on, and we're just basically going through his career up to this point. And man, it's been a lot of fun. And we hinted at it, and two of the names that really come to mind for me that I guess I've got to know them because of working at SwedeTech, but one of them is Jordan Lennox. And a couple of years ago, he went off and seemed like he was kind of at the top of his game, at least definitely by American standards. And all of a sudden, he was retired and he was running his own team. And I just thought it was very odd. I mean, Jordan's probably right around 30, somewhere, give or take a couple of years.
Oh, no, I think even younger than that. He's probably Oh, I mean, I would say, yeah, late 20s, but he's definitely not in his 30s yet. That's for sure.
Not yet in his 30s. Okay. So, I mean, why would someone? I mean, to me, that just seems like such a young age, just for anything. Oh, I'm hanging up the gloves and I'm going to become a race team owner. Um, what is it like over in Europe, and what gives someone that mindset?
I think it's just whatever you feel is the opportunities that you get in life. I think Jordan was presented with a really good opportunity that he knew um, would be very beneficial for him long term. Obviously, he was at the age and he had no aspirations to go to cars. So, I mean, I'm just speaking, I guess I shouldn't speak for him, but I mean, I know Jordan actually quite well, and we've talked about it, and we're pretty close friends. And, I mean, he was presented with an opportunity that, he knew would be really good for his future. And, being it, he could maybe get 1 or 2 years more out of his racing career. He was looking more long term, what he could do for the rest of his life. And being that he had so much success, in his career, what's, another 1 or 2 championships when you're presented an opportunity, it's yes or no at that moment in time. And, I feel he did the right thing and started his team. And as everyone can see, I mean, he's been really successful and done a great job.
Yeah, he has. And then the exact opposite of Jordan, and I don't know what the right way to say it is, but to me, he's the Ron White of Europe, is Davide Fore. He's still racing, I think.
Yeah, and you know what I think it is? I mean, honestly, I remember when I was living over at CRG and Jordan became a CRG driver and we were all there together. He was already always, he was kind of like me in the sense he loved driving, but he was already talking about, having a team or doing something. And he was, he loved working on the go-karts, I think, just as much as he did driving, where Davide is the complete opposite. I don't think he cares about anything about working on go-karts and just loves driving. That's the only thing he thinks about day in, day out. And I mean, if you are a person that can make a living and do anything or do what you want in life that makes you happy, I mean, good on you. You could continue to do it, right? There's no reason not to continue.
I mean, he's definitely got to be in his mid-40s.
Yeah, he's got to be at least 45, I think now, Davide. Yeah. And it's actually pretty dang impressive how fast he still is. I mean, it gives me hope, and it's funny. I find myself asking Masters drivers now, "Hey, how old are you?" And in their 50s or even close to 60, and I'm watching them drive, and they're getting around really well still. And I'm thinking like, it makes me feel good because being that I don't have the competition in myself to go out and race. Yes, I mean, when I do get to drive go-karts, it's very satisfying and gratifying still, and the feeling, and even maybe just to chase someone for a little bit or pass them or be able to pass someone. It's cool, it's fun. I still really enjoy it. So I always think, I have this many more years that I can hopefully, if my health stays good and I don't have any underlying injuries or anything like that, that I could still go out and drive go-karts and enjoy it from time to time when time permits.
Yeah, no, that's what we strive for, right? Just a long-term healthy life. And you've had some very unique experiences, which we're going to dive into. So we left off last week with the Track Magic stuff. And you were talking about, I mean, you had your big win in Tucson. You had the big kart sport win. You kind of saw the writing on the wall with Fausto passing and Track Magic changing hands to new owners. And you had an opportunity to jump on board a CRG product. And that's kind of where we left off last week. So let's pick it up from there.
Yeah, no, I had the meeting with Randy Neal and the PCH Motorsports, and I don't believe Joe Ramos was in that meeting, but I mean, Randy was kind of speaking on behalf of Joe Ramos at SEC.
and then Matthias